Every step you've taken, every triumph, every stumble, it all traces back to the thoughts you once nurtured. What you are today is the living echo of what you once believed, and what you will become tomorrow is the blueprint of what you choose to think today. For too long we've been told that life is a script written by fate, and that some are destined for greatness while others are bound to struggle. We've been taught to point fingers at circumstances and to wait for the stars to align before we dare to dream differently. But here's the truth they never told you. Your mind is the master builder of your reality. Long before the world caught on, Prentice Mulford saw this truth with startling clarity. His work, The Force of Thought, wasn't just a book. It was a seismic shift in understanding. He revealed what science is still piecing together. Your life is a mirror of your mind. It's not about luck nor relentless toil. It's about aligning your thoughts with the life you crave. The subconscious mind is the hidden doorway to the beliefs that either shackle you or set you free. In a world where fear and possibility wage war within the mind, few have grasped the true creative force of thought. Over a century ago, Prentice Mulford, a thinker so far ahead of his time, it was as if he peered into the future and unveiled a truth that still pulses with power. Thought is the energy that molds reality. His writings, particularly The Force of Thought, 1889, were not just philosophical musings, but a roadmap to harnessing this force as humanity's greatest tool. Mulford didn't see the mind as a mere organ. He saw it as a magnetic force, a generator of energy that, when directed with purpose and clarity, becomes the architect of existence. His legacy isn't some abstract idea. It's a universal truth, now echoed by modern science, psychology, and quantum physics. This audiobook is a bridge between Mulford's timeless wisdom and the challenges of today, reimagined in a language that speaks to your soul. It's not about regurgitating his ideas, but breathing new life into them. In an era drowning in anxiety and uncertainty, his message rings louder than ever. Your reality is the offspring of your thoughts. The subconscious mind is the silent sculptor of your world, and within it lies the power to craft the life you've always imagined. This is not just a book. It's an invitation to step through the door to your subconscious mind, to wield the force of thought, and to build a reality that reflects your deepest desires. The question is, are you ready to walk through? Have you ever stopped to truly listen to your thoughts? Not the words you speak aloud or the beliefs you pretend to hold for others, but that constant, unspoken conversation happening within you, the one that whispers when no one is watching. That voice that tells you you're not enough, that life is hard, that the world is a hostile place where only a lucky few get what they want. That voice, often unnoticed, is quietly shaping your destiny with every word, every image it paints in the silence of your mind. I too was once a prisoner of those thoughts. I remember nights when my mind echoed the same fears. You can't do it. It's too late. Who do you think you are? And every time I listened, my body felt it. My energy drained, my shoulders slumped, and my future blurred into a thick grey haze of doubt. But the most terrifying part wasn't the pain of those thoughts. It was how, little by little, my reality began to reflect them. At first, we don't understand it. We think life is just the way it is, and that circumstances fall on us like an unexpected storm. But if we look closely, if we have the courage to admit it, we'll realize that our lives are nothing more than an echo of our deepest thoughts. What we believe about ourselves becomes the architecture of our destiny. What we think with enough intensity becomes the fabric of our existence. Imagine your mind as a fertile field. Every thought you plant is a seed. Some are seeds of fear, others of hope. Some carry the code of failure, others the blueprint of triumph. The problem is that most of us plant without even realizing it. We sow seeds of borrowed ideas, inherited beliefs, and phrases we've heard at home, in school, or on TV. Money is hard to earn. Love always hurts. You can't have it all. And without questioning, we water those seeds every day with our attention and our emotions, until they grow roots so deep they feel like part of our identity. But here's the truth many choose to ignore. You can uproot those seeds and plant something new. You can take control of what you think, what you imagine, and what you expect from the world. And when you do, something extraordinary begins to happen. Reality shifts, not immediately, not with a simple affirmation muttered in front of a mirror while the rest of your mind is still filled with doubt, not with a fragile hope that crumbles at the first obstacle, but with a certainty forged slowly, patiently, through constant reprogramming, with an intention that becomes as natural as breathing. I lived this. One day, tired of my own mental misery, I decided to run an experiment. I observed myself with brutal honesty and realized my thoughts were programmed for failure. Every time I tried something new, I already saw myself failing. Every time someone spoke of opportunities, my mind responded with skepticism. So, I did something that felt absurd. I challenged every one of those thoughts. Every time a "you can't" appeared, I replaced it with a "what if I can?" Every time my mind projected failure, I closed my eyes and forced myself to visualize a different outcome, not as a wish but as a certainty. At first it felt artificial, like I was lying to myself. But the brain is a machine of habits. What you repeat with enough intensity and consistency becomes part of you. And then, without realizing it, my body began to move differently. I walked with more confidence and spoke with more conviction. Opportunities I once overlooked began to appear, or maybe they'd always been there, and I'd simply trained my mind to ignore them. Here's the trick. Your mind doesn't perceive reality objectively. It only sees what it's been programmed to see. Like when you buy a red car and suddenly notice red cars everywhere. The world didn't change. Your mind adjusted its filter. The same applies to everything. If you believe the world is cruel, it will surround you with evidence to confirm it. If you believe success is out of reach, your mind will show you reasons to stay where you are. But if you train your thoughts to see opportunities, to perceive paths where there once seemed to be walls, the entire world reorganizes itself in your favor. It's not magic, though it may seem like it. It's the most fundamental principle of existence. Reality follows the direction of your attention. What you think about with emotion, what you hold in your mind with faith and conviction, eventually takes shape in the physical world. Not because the universe rewards positive thinking, but because the mind is the most powerful tool we possess. But here's the warning few want to hear. This power works both ways. Just as you can build a life of abundance, love, and health with your thoughts, you can also condemn yourself to a life of lack if you allow your mind to fill with destructive ideas. Every time you repeat "I can't," every time you imagine the worst, every time you feed the image of a mediocre life, you're laying the foundation for that reality. You can't harvest wheat if you've sown thorns. So, the question isn't whether your thoughts create your reality. It's what reality are you creating right now? What images are you holding in your mind day after day? What words are you repeating when no one is listening? Because I can assure you that what you hold inside will eventually manifest outside. Don't wait for proof to believe. Don't wait to see the result before adjusting your mind. Faith doesn't work that way. First you believe, then you see. First you think differently, then you live differently. First you convince yourself you're capable, then the world begins to treat you as such. Try this for just one day. Monitor every thought that crosses your mind. Be ruthlessly honest with yourself. How many of them are bringing you closer to the life you want? How many are sabotaging your future without you even noticing? And when you find them, don't just observe them. Replace them with thoughts that are worth your energy, with ideas that build instead of destroy. Your subconscious mind is the master key to transformation. Imagine a hidden room inside you, a sealed vault containing the exact blueprint of your life. Whether you're aware of it or not, every decision, every emotion, every opportunity or failure you've experienced was mapped there long before it happened in reality. This vault is your subconscious mind, the silent engine guiding your existence without you even realizing it. And the question is, do you have the key? For a long time, I lived like most people, believing life was a series of coincidences, a game of chance where some are born lucky and others are destined to struggle. I thought effort was the only thing that determined success, and that the mind was just a tool to process reality, not to create it. But I was wrong. The first time I realized the power of the subconscious mind was in the most painful way possible. through failure. I was at a point where everything seemed to be against me. No matter how hard I tried to change my situation, it felt like swimming against a current, as if something invisible was always pushing me in the opposite direction. And then, for the first time, I dared to ask the question that changed everything. What if the problem isn't out there, but in here? From that moment, I began to observe my mind like never before. I realized my thoughts were a constant repetition of the same theme. It's hard. I'm not enough. Something will go wrong. I said it without saying it, felt it without realizing it. And then I understood. No matter how much I physically pushed, if my subconscious was programmed for failure, I would never break through. The key to transformation isn't in doing more, it's in thinking differently. Because the subconscious mind doesn't question, analyze, or debate. It's a loyal servant who follows orders without asking if they're good or bad for you. If you believe you're a loser, it will prove it to you over and over. If you believe money is scarce, it will make every opportunity for wealth slip through your fingers. If you think love is pain, it will attract people who confirm that belief until you're exhausted. Here's the most powerful truth. If you change the message you send to your subconscious mind, the reality around you will shift. Not because magic exists, but because your perception of life reconfigures itself. The opportunities you once overlooked become obvious. The confidence you lack begins to reflect in every action you take. You start acting like someone who deserves what you once believed was impossible. So, the question isn't whether your subconscious mind is working. It is every second of your life. The real question is, what program is running in it right now? Are you aware of the thoughts you feed daily, or are you still following a script someone else wrote for you when you were a child? Your subconscious mind is like soil. It doesn't choose which seeds to plant. It simply grows what you give it. Plant fear, insecurity, and scarcity, and you'll harvest a life full of worry and failure. Plant confidence, gratitude, and certainty, and you'll watch your reality align with that new mindset. But here's the catch. The soil doesn't change overnight. Positive thinking a few times won't bring miracles. It takes repetition. It takes patience. It takes faith. I've met people who say, I tried changing my mindset, but nothing happened. When I ask how long they tried, the answer is usually the same. A few days, maybe a week. But here's the truth few want to hear. Your subconscious mind doesn't reprogram with occasional affirmations or half-hearted attempts. It only changes when you prove to it, over and over, that there's a new pattern to follow. What you repeat with enough intensity becomes part of you. What you imagine with enough clarity eventually manifests in reality. Not because the universe rewards you, but because you've trained your mind to seek, create, and attract what once seemed impossible. Think of someone who considers themselves unlucky. How do they speak? How do they move? How do they react to life? Now think of someone who feels prosperous and successful. Their energy is different. Their actions are different. It's no coincidence that one thrives while the other struggles. Both are following the mental programs they've reinforced for years. If you look at your life today and don't like what you see, don't search for the cause outside yourself. Don't blame fate, the economy, your past, or circumstances. Look within. Ask yourself with brutal honesty, what ideas have dominated my mind until now? What story do I tell myself every day about who I am and what I deserve? Because that story determines every aspect of your life. Don't wait for proof before you believe. Don't say, when things change, I'll change my mindset. It works the other way around. First, you change from within. Then, the world responds to that change. First, you act like the person you want to be. Then, the universe aligns with your new vibration. Try this for the next 30 days. Eliminate every defeatist phrase from your mind. Don't allow yourself to think, I can't, it's too hard, or I'm not capable. Replace them with, I'm on my way, I'm learning, and I deserve this. Don't just say it, feel it, believe it, live it, and watch what happens. Your mental state shapes your destiny. This isn't an exaggeration or a motivational quote for your fridge. It's the rawest, most powerful truth there is. No matter how many books you read, courses you take, or affirmations you repeat, if your mental state doesn't change, your destiny will remain the same. Most people live with the belief that their life is a product of chance, that things just happen, and they simply react like leaves blown by the wind. They think their happiness, success, and well-being depend on external factors, but that's the biggest lie we've been sold. From a young age, we're taught that physical effort is what moves us forward, that luck plays a decisive role, and that some things are simply beyond our control. We're programmed to believe that suffering is a natural part of existence, and that the best we can do is adapt to reality. But no one tells us that the reality we live in is largely a product of our mental state. How do you feel most of the time? Not what you show others, but what's really happening inside you. Is there anxiety, doubt, fear, and frustration? Or is there confidence, gratitude, enthusiasm, and certainty? Because here's the key. Your mental state isn't just a fleeting feeling, it's a frequency. It's the signal you send to the universe, the vibration that dictates what kind of situations, people, and opportunities enter your life. If your mental state is one of hopelessness, you'll attract more reasons to feel hopeless. If it's one of abundance, life will find a way to align you with experiences that reflect that abundance. I learned this the hard way. For years I thought my effort was enough, that if I worked hard, life would eventually reward me. But exhaustion piled up, opportunities seemed elusive, and the feeling of emptiness grew deeper. No matter how much I did, I always ended up in the same place. Until one day I stopped and asked myself, from what mental state am I building my life? I realized that even though I wanted success, my mental state was full of doubt. Even though I sought love, my mental state reflected fear. Even though I desired abundance, my mental state was one of lack. And then I understood. The problem wasn't my effort, it was the energy from which I was acting. Because life doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you feel is true. You can say, I want wealth, but if your mental state is one of scarcity, you'll only attract situations that confirm that scarcity. You can say, I want love, but if your mental state is one of insecurity, you'll end up in relationships that reflect that insecurity. The worst part? Most people don't realize this. We think we're victims of life, when in reality, we're the architects of our own destiny. We think circumstances affect us when, in truth, we generate them with our energy. Look at your life right now. Do you like what you see? If the answer is no, then examine your mental state, because that's the root of everything. Don't wait for things to change to feel better. It doesn't work that way. First you change, then the world responds. The question is, how do you change your mental state when you've spent years living in the same pattern? How do you move from hopelessness to confidence, from scarcity to abundance, from fear to faith? The answer is simple but not easy, with decision, practice, and repetition. Just as your mind was programmed over the years to operate in states of anxiety, frustration, or lack, you can reprogram it to operate from security, peace, and certainty. At first it feels strange, even fake. Your mind will resist. It will tell you it's pointless, that reality is what it is. But if you persist, something shifts. It's like tuning a radio. At first, all you hear is static. But as you adjust the dial, you find the right frequency. That's how your mental state works. You must decide every day to stay on a higher frequency, even when reality seems to contradict it. Not because you're denying what's happening, but because you understand that your energy is the cause, not the effect. What if, instead of reacting with fear to problems, you chose to trust that everything will work out in your favor? What if, instead of focusing on what's missing, you concentrated on what you already have? What if, instead of feeding doubt, you reinforced certainty? Most people believe change happens from the outside in, but it's the opposite. I've lived it. I've seen how life transforms when you change from within. Opportunities that once seemed impossible begin to appear when your mental state aligns with what you desire. It's not magic, it's biology, physics, vibration. Thoughts generate emotions, emotions create energy, and that energy dictates your actions, which in turn shape your reality. There's no escape from this truth. So the question isn't, when will my life change? But, from what mental state am I living? If you don't change that, nothing else will. Try this. Make a real commitment to yourself. Every time you fall into negative thought patterns, shift your focus. When anxiety creeps in, breathe and choose calm. When fear paralyzes you, ask yourself, what if everything works out? Your thoughts and emotions are energy, invisible forces that direct your life. Everything in this world vibrates. It's not esoteric, it's physics. From the densest matter to the subtlest emotion, everything emits a frequency. Thoughts are no exception. Each thought you hold carries weight, energy, and a charge that translates into the reality you experience. I didn't learn this from a book or a motivational talk. Life taught me. For years I wondered why certain things felt out of reach, why some people seemed trapped in cycles of suffering while others thrived effortlessly. Eventually I realized it wasn't luck, it was vibration. Your external reality mirrors your internal vibration. If chaos surrounds you, it's because chaos lives within you. If money slips through your fingers, it's because you vibrate scarcity. If relationships are difficult, examine the thoughts you've held about love, worthiness, and yourself. The uncomfortable truth is this: you can't expect abundance if you vibrate fear, love if you vibrate rejection, or peace if you vibrate anxiety. Life responds not to what you say, but to what you vibrate. The most successful people I've met aren't smarter or luckier. They vibrate success before it manifests. They feel secure before the opportunity arises, prosperous before the money comes, loved before meeting the right person. This is where most people get lost. They think they need proof to believe, that reality must change before they can change. But it works the other way around. First you change your frequency, then reality adjusts. Think of it like tuning a radio. If you want to hear music, you can't leave the dial on a news station and complain. You must change the frequency. When I understood this, I experimented. I stopped waiting for reasons to feel good and started generating them from within. I woke up each day choosing to vibrate with certainty, even when circumstances suggested otherwise. I changed how I spoke about myself, stopped reinforcing stories of lack and struggle, and without realizing it, life began to shift. Not because luck was on my side, but because I was finally emitting a different signal. Vibration is everything. It's the difference between resistance and ease, fear and confidence. It's not about ignoring reality, but remembering that reality isn't fixed. It's a reflection of the frequency you choose to operate from. Everything in this world began as an idea. The city you live in, the clothes you wear, the phone in your hand, all were once thoughts in someone's mind. If this is true for objects, why wouldn't it be true for your life? Most people don't understand this. They think life happens to them, that they're mere spectators of a script written by external forces. But the truth is, you are the creator. Every decision, every opportunity, every significant event in your life was preceded by a thought. What you hold in your mind becomes the matter of your existence. But here's the key. An idea alone isn't enough. It's a seed. If you don't nurture it with intention, it withers before it can grow. Most people live in mental chaos with fleeting desires and vague dreams. Their energy is scattered, never focused enough to bring an idea to life. Think of the difference between a beam of light and a laser. Both come from the same source, but the laser concentrates its energy with such precision that it can cut through steel. That's how mental creation works. Your energy, focus, and emotion must align in one direction for an idea to take form. If you doubt one day and sabotage your dream the next, it's like lighting a candle and blowing it out before it illuminates anything. I learned this the hard way. For years I desired change, imagining a different life, but every day I cancelled it out with doubt, fear, and scattered energy. Until I realized that my mind is the architect of my reality. To manifest something, I had to hold the image with absolute certainty no matter how long it took. Creation isn't instant. A seed doesn't become a tree overnight. A river isn't formed by a single raindrop. The mind needs repetition, conviction, and unwavering focus. Most people fail because they let their current reality outweigh their vision of the future. But if you allow the present to dictate your beliefs, you'll never change. First, you believe. Then you see. Not the other way around. Everything you see around you was once just an idea in someone's mind. The difference between those who create the life they desire and those who feel trapped in circumstances they resent is the ability to hold on to a vision without betraying it over time. Nothing happens by accident. The mind is like a magnet. It doesn't attract what you merely wish for. It attracts what you believe in most intensely. If your fears are stronger than your desires, fear wins. If doubt overshadows your dreams, doubt prevails. You cannot expect different results if most of your energy is spent sabotaging yourself with limiting beliefs. Your subconscious mind is the silent force shaping your life, whether you realize it or not. It holds the collection of your beliefs, fears, habits, and, most importantly, the invisible limits that dictate how far you can go. This powerful force has been at work since the day you were born, absorbing everything. Every word from your parents, every childhood experience, every unprocessed emotion. It operates like a program running in the background, influencing your actions, reactions, and the outcomes you create. The irony is that most people never take the time to understand how it works, let alone learn how to use it to their advantage. Your subconscious will make sure you never surpass mediocrity if you were raised with the belief that success is only for the fortunate few. Your mind will fabricate innumerable barriers to support the assumption that money is limited and hard to come by if you were raised to believe it. The subconscious only confirms whatever it has been conditioned to believe to be true. It makes no distinction between what helps or hinders you, and the reality you encounter is determined by this programming. The secret is that your subconscious can be reprogrammed, exactly like it was originally programmed. The concepts of vivid imagery, emotional intensity, and repetition are all governed by the mind. Passively wishing for success is insufficient if you want it. You have to be it. Before success ever shows up in your exterior reality, your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors must match its frequency. You can't worry about poverty all the time and want abundance. You can't hope for love and be afraid of being rejected. You create what you focus on. At first, your mind will resist. It will fight to return to the familiar, even if the familiar is limiting and painful. The subconscious seeks consistency, even at the cost of your happiness. But if you persist, if you consciously feed your mind new beliefs, thoughts, and emotions, you will reach a tipping point. Suddenly, you will notice a shift. You will react differently, see opportunities where before you saw obstacles, and attract people, situations, and resources that once seemed unreachable. Your subconscious mind is the key to success and abundance, but knowledge alone is not enough. You must apply it with intention. If you do not take control of your mental programming, the world will do it for you. True belief is not passive, it is a force. It is the power to create your reality. Here's the truth few understand. Faith isn't just a spiritual concept, it's a mental strategy. It's the most powerful tool you have to shape reality, but it only works if you hold on to it without a doubt. When you let uncertainty creep in, the signal weakens, and the world responds by giving you more reasons to doubt. Everything in your life aligns with what you truly believe, not what you superficially desire. Faith works both ways. If you believe in lack, difficulty, or impossibility, that's what you'll experience. Not because the universe punishes you, but because your mind acts like a magnet, attracting exactly what you hold on to most strongly. If you want to change your world, don't wait for an external sign. Decide to believe first. Believe in your success before you see it, in your healing before it happens, in the opportunity before it appears, and above all, believe in yourself. Until you do, nothing will change. Your mind is a perfect repetition machine. It doesn't care whether what it stores helps or destroys you. It simply runs the program you've given it, or the one someone else installed when you didn't have the capacity to choose. And that's the problem. Most people don't own their mental programming. They operate on inherited beliefs and unconscious patterns they've never questioned. They're like devices running outdated software, governed by invisible rules that set their limits without them even realizing it. You can work hard, struggle, and push forward, but if deep down you believe success is hard, Something will always stop you before you achieve it. If you believe money is dirty or love is suffering, you'll sabotage any opportunity that contradicts those beliefs. And then when things don't work out, you'll blame luck, fate, or circumstances, not realizing the real cause lies in your internal programming. The day I understood this, everything changed. I realized I wasn't a victim of anything or anyone, just the beliefs I'd unknowingly adopted. Every failure, every obstacle that seemed to come out of nowhere was just my mind replaying a script written by others. It was a hard pill to swallow, realizing that everything I considered reality was merely a reflection of my programming. If you always encounter the same difficulties, if success seems to slip away just when it's within reach, if love, abundance, or peace always feel one step beyond your grasp, it's because your subconscious doesn't accept they can be yours. The mind doesn't distinguish between what you desire and what you fear. It simply executes what's repeated most often with emotion and intensity. What you believe strongly enough becomes your truth. But here's the key. Any belief system, no matter how deeply rooted, can be reprogrammed. It's not easy, but it's possible. And when you succeed, life stops feeling like a struggle because you're no longer swimming against your own internal current. The process begins with a simple decision. Question everything. Every thought, every assumption, every limit you believe you have. Ask yourself, where did this come from? Is it truly mine, or did someone else plant it in my mind? Does it help me or limit me? What you don't question controls you. Next, identify which beliefs are shaping your reality. What do you tell yourself when no one's listening? What thoughts arise when something good is about to happen? Do you feel you deserve it, or do you expect it to fall apart at any moment? Here comes the hard part, replacing every limiting belief with a new one. It's not enough to wish for it or repeat empty affirmations. The mind doesn't change with words alone. It changes with experiences, emotion, and repetition. If you've spent your whole life believing you're not enough, one positive thought won't make a difference. You have to repeat the new idea with such certainty that your subconscious has no choice but to accept it. When you achieve this, transformation is inevitable. What once seemed impossible starts to flow. Opportunities you once overlooked appear. People and circumstances that once felt out of reach begin to align. It's not magic. It's your mind operating with a new program. Life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you believe is possible. And what you believe is possible is determined by the programming within you. It's not fate or luck that defines who thrives and who stays stuck. It's the mental framework each person has built. I understood this the day I stopped to observe my own patterns. I asked myself why, despite trying so many times, I seemed stuck in the same place. I worked hard and poured all my energy into moving forward, but something invisible kept pulling me back as if I were walking with an anchor tied to my feet. Then I saw it. It wasn't the world holding me back. It was my own programming. Because no matter how hard you work, if there's a belief inside you that sabotages every attempt at success, you'll never move forward. No matter how many opportunities arise, if there's an unconscious fear making you reject them without realizing it, you'll stay stuck. The mind is a filter, a magnet, a silent architect shaping reality according to the patterns installed in it. But just as a belief was imposed on you without your notice, it can be consciously replaced. It's not enough to repeat an affirmation a few times. You can't trick your subconscious with empty words. You have to prove to it, day after day, that the new belief is real. At first, it will feel fake. You'll doubt. You'll want to give up. But remember how you learned anything in life. At first, it was uncomfortable and forced. But with repetition, it became part of you. That's how a new belief is installed. If you want to reprogram your mind for effortless success, you have to act from the identity of someone who already has it. Not after success arrives, but before. Not when circumstances confirm it, but when your mind accepts it as an inevitable reality. The way you think about success determines your reality. If you see it as difficult, reserved for others, or requiring endless sacrifice, that belief will shape your life. The idea that success is a struggle condemns you to struggle. The belief that success is scarce keeps you in scarcity. You cannot attain what you internally reject. Stop the unnecessary mental effort. Instead of focusing on what's missing, focus on what's already on its way. Replace fears with vivid images of triumph. Imagine everything working in your favor with such clarity that your mind has no choice but to turn it into reality. Because here's the truth most refuse to accept. Life doesn't respond to effort. It responds to vibration. The one who aligns their mind with certainty receives rewards, not the one who suffers the most. Success is natural for those who embody it, not those who chase it with desperation. This doesn't mean action isn't necessary, but action taken from certainty is entirely different from action fueled by fear. When your mind is programmed for success, opportunities appear effortlessly. Doors open without force. Connections happen without manipulation. Not because the world has changed, but because you have eliminated the internal resistance that kept you trapped in the same cycle. Real success doesn't come from doing nothing. It comes from removing the inner barriers that block its flow. It arises when you stop fighting against your own mind and reprogram your beliefs so that success becomes your natural state. Willpower is the invisible force that separates dreamers from creators. It's not just determination, discipline, or desire. It's the fire that sustains a vision when everything seems to be falling apart. When doubt creeps in, when obstacles appear, when reality contradicts your expectations, willpower is the force that turns the invisible into visible, the impossible into inevitable. We are taught to believe in talent, intelligence, and luck. We're told some are born with superior abilities, better opportunities, and a smoother path to success. But history proves otherwise. The greatest visionaries, the ones who changed the world, were not necessarily the most gifted or fortunate. They were the ones who held on to their willpower when they had every reason to give up. They persisted despite doubt, criticism, and failure. They refused to let go of the vision of what they knew could be real. I learned this the hard way. There was a time when I believed success depended on external conditions, that certain doors only opened for a select few. I thought life had favorites, and if you weren't on that list, everything would be an uphill battle. I waited for the perfect opportunity, for luck to intervene, for someone to hand me the missing answer. Meanwhile, the years passed. Then one day I understood that the waiting was an illusion. Nothing would change until I changed. What separated me from what I wanted wasn't a lack of resources, opportunities, or skills. It was a lack of unshakable willpower. Most people give up too soon, not because they lack ability, but because they haven't trained their will. They want immediate results, effortless rewards, and a path without resistance. The moment things get difficult, they hesitate, change direction, and convince themselves it wasn't meant to be. And so, they program their minds to repeat the same cycle of mediocrity over and over. Willpower isn't a temporary impulse. It's a sustained decision. It's the ability to see beyond what's in front of you and act as if your goal is already a certainty, even when the world tells you otherwise. It's not blind stubbornness. It's not wishful thinking. It's a science. It's the law that dictates that everything in life responds to the energy with which it is sustained. And when you hold on to something with enough intensity, conviction, and perseverance, the universe has no choice but to align with that reality. But here's the key. Willpower isn't just mental. It's physical. It's a muscle trained with every decision, every action, and every moment you choose to keep going when giving up would be easier. You can't claim to have willpower if you only use it when things are easy. Real willpower is tested in adversity, in exhaustion, in the moments when returning to comfort and familiarity whispers in your ear, urging you to stop. Most people don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because they don't hold on long enough, not because they aren't smart, but because their will breaks before the process is complete. When things don't happen on their timeline, they lose faith, stop trying, and justify their failure. They convince themselves it just wasn't meant to be. But what if, instead of giving up, you chose to persist? What if, instead of surrendering to doubt, you decided to trust the vision that once inspired you? What if you used your willpower to shape reality instead of letting reality shape you? The universe doesn't listen to what you say. It responds to what you truly think and feel. Not your surface thoughts, but the beliefs you hold with deep emotion, conviction, and certainty. No matter how many affirmations you repeat, No matter how many rituals you perform, if doubt lingers in your mind, if fear vibrates in your body, the universe will reflect that uncertainty. Manifestation isn't magic. It's precision. It's not about asking and waiting for miracles. It's an exact process where every thought, emotion, and belief plays a role. Many people claim it doesn't work because they send mixed signals. They want success, but see themselves failing. They want love, but fear getting hurt. They want abundance, but vibrate in scarcity. And the universe, without judgment or interpretation, simply reflects back what it receives. I realized this after years of frustration. I kept asking for change, yet my thoughts clung to old limitations. I said I wanted new opportunities, but deep down a voice whispered that maybe I didn't deserve them. Then I understood. That manifestation doesn't happen when you ask. It happens when you align. The real question isn't, what do I want? The real question is, how will I feel when I have it? Because that's the key. The universe doesn't respond to words. It responds to the energy you emit. And that energy isn't activated when the desire is fulfilled. It's activated beforehand. It's activated when you stop asking and start acting from certainty, when doubt no longer has space, because you have decided that what you want is already yours. Most people lack clarity. They change their desires constantly, letting fear, comparison, and uncertainty dictate their direction. Today they want one thing, tomorrow another. One day they trust, the next they're anxious. The universe, receiving conflicting signals, mirrors that confusion in their reality. If you truly want to manifest with precision, stop focusing on what's missing. Act as if you are already in the reality you desire, not from arrogance, but from certainty. Not from ego, but from absolute faith that life always responds to those who align with their vision. Think about this. How does someone walk when they already have what you want? How do they think, act, and feel? When they wake up each morning, what energy moves them through life? Now compare that to how you move. If there's a difference, there's your work. Because the universe doesn't give you what you wish for. It gives you what you are. Again and again, I've seen people stop begging and start aligning, and suddenly, everything changes. Opportunities they once overlooked appear, key people enter their lives at the right moment, and everything falls into place. Not because they plead for it, but because they have tuned into the right frequency. Fear is replaced by faith, and that faith reshapes their reality. Fear has ruled humanity since the beginning of time. It lurks in doubt, anxiety, and the whispering thoughts that haunt silent nights. It's the voice that asks, what if you fail? What if you get hurt? What if you're not enough? It's an invisible prison, and most people don't even know they're locked inside. But here's the truth. Fear only holds power if you feed it. It isn't real. It's a mental construct, a disguised illusion. And the only way to defeat it isn't by fighting it, but by replacing it with something greater. Faith. Not blind faith. Not empty optimism. I mean faith as an unshakable certainty, the kind that doesn't rely on external proof, that doesn't crumble under difficulty. The faith that doesn't wait to see before believing, but believes until what it desires becomes inevitable. Faith is not just a feeling, it's a mastery of the mind. It's the choice to strip fear of its power and to dictate the narrative of your own mind. I remember the moment I understood this. I was at one of my lowest points, trapped in uncertainty, drowning in doubt and frustration. Every time I tried to move forward, fear listed all the reasons I would fail. Then, a thought struck me with absolute clarity. What if, instead of waiting for proof, I simply decided to trust? That question changed everything. Fear thrives on the need for control, the need to know every step before taking it. But faith works in the opposite direction. Faith is letting go. It's walking without seeing the ground, knowing it will be there when needed. Life doesn't reward those who demand guarantees. It rewards those who dare to trust, unconditionally. But here's the problem. Most people believe they must stop feeling fear before they act. They wait for confidence, for readiness, for certainty. But that day never comes. Fear never fully vanishes. The only way to overcome it is to move forward despite it, to act before you feel ready, to replace "what if I fail" with "what if everything goes right." Fear is an illusion, not a prophecy. It doesn't predict the future. It only mirrors your insecurities. If you let it control you, your life will shrink into a series of missed opportunities, unexplored paths, and dreams that never materialize. But if you master faith over fear, if you train your mind to sustain the certainty that life is on your side, something incredible happens. Fear loses its grip. It still exists, but it no longer paralyzes you. You acknowledge it, but you don't give it space. And suddenly, you realize that the only true obstacle was the story you kept telling yourself. Your life is not defined by what happens to you, but by how you respond. Two people can face the same situation and emerge with entirely different results. It's not luck, intelligence, or better opportunities. It's their inner state, their frequency. Your state of mind is not just a passing mood. It's the energy that shapes what you attract, notice, decide, and create. It's the invisible foundation of your future. We were taught to believe that success and happiness depend on external factors, that once money arrives, the right person appears, or circumstances align, we'll finally feel good. But reality works in reverse. First, you must feel good, and then everything aligns. Not because life rewards optimism, but because your vibration determines the quality of your thoughts, the clarity of your decisions, and the way you interact with the world. Vibration isn't mystical, it's science. When you dwell in fear, anxiety, or frustration, everything seems to go wrong. Not because the universe punishes you, but because your mind becomes blind to solutions, opportunities, and confidence. Low frequencies make you doubt, self-sabotage, and attract more reasons to stay stuck. But the opposite is also true. When you elevate your state, choosing calm over worry, certainty over doubt, and gratitude over complaint, life responds in kind. The world doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you are. I understood this the day I decided to run an experiment on myself. What if, instead of reacting to life, I acted from a high state, no matter the circumstances? Not when things went well, but before. Not waiting for life to give me reasons to feel at peace, but creating that peace first. At first it was difficult. My mind was wired for worry, for anticipating problems, for skepticism. But the more I practiced, the more I noticed something astonishing. Life began to reflect that same shift. What once felt like obstacles resolved themselves. Opportunities I had never noticed began appearing. My perception changed, and with it, my reality. Because when you change the frequency you operate on, everything aligned with that frequency begins to find you. It's not a coincidence, it's not luck, it's vibration. Your state of mind is not just an emotional reaction, it's the foundation of everything you create. If you don't like what you see in your life, don't look outward for blame. Don't blame circumstances, the economy, the past, or the people around you. Check your frequency. Ask yourself, what energy have I been operating from? Because if you don't change that, nothing else will change. Everything that exists was first an image in someone's mind. Before a city was built, someone envisioned it. Before an idea changed the world, someone saw it so clearly in their mind that reality had no choice but to follow. The mind is the first blueprint of creation. You cannot manifest what you cannot first sustain in your imagination. Most people don't use their minds to their advantage. They are trapped in the same old images, projecting fears instead of desires. They see failure before they even start, rejection before they even speak, and defeat before they even try. And so, without realizing it, their lives become repetitions of the same inner narratives. Because visualization is a double-edged sword. It doesn't just create what you want, it also reinforces what you fear. I realized this when I stopped to observe my own thoughts. No matter how much I wanted success, my mind kept imagining failure. I saw myself losing before I even began, feeling judged before I even acted. The images in my head were filled with fear, uncertainty, and loss. Then I asked myself, how can I expect different results if my mind always pictures the same? Visualization is not a game, nor a mere motivational trick. It is the language you use to speak to your subconscious. It is the blueprint you give reality to build upon. It's not about wishing. It's about seeing with such clarity that your mind accepts it as real. because the brain does not distinguish between what you vividly imagine and what actually happens. What you hold in your mind with enough intensity, your subconscious will accept as truth, and what it accepts as truth, it will seek to manifest in your life. The problem is, most people visualize unintentionally. They do it when they are afraid, anxious, or anticipating disaster. They create images of failure with more intensity than images of success. They see themselves losing before they win, and then wonder why life keeps giving them the same results. If you truly want to use visualization to transform your reality, you must do it with precision. Don't just close your eyes and hope for the best. See it so vividly, so detailed, so charged with emotion, that your mind has no choice but to believe it. When I truly began applying this, it wasn't easy. My mind was trained to see problems, not solutions. At first, every attempt to visualize success was sabotaged by doubt. But instead of giving in, I persisted. Every day I closed my eyes and saw the life I wanted, so vividly I could almost touch it. I didn't just imagine it, I lived it. I felt the joy, the certainty, the gratitude, as if it were already real. And something changed. Without realizing it, my actions aligned with that vision. I moved differently, spoke with confidence, and made decisions with the certainty of someone who already had what they wanted. Slowly, reality adjusted. Not because visualization is magic, but because when the mind is programmed with a clear image, it finds a way to make it real. The secret lies in repetition and emotion. A single thought isn't enough. Just as a seed doesn't grow overnight, a mental image needs to be nurtured until it takes root. You must hold on to it until it stops feeling like a dream and becomes an internal certainty. When that happens, life adjusts, because the world doesn't give you what you wish for. It gives you what you consistently hold in your mind. See obstacles and you'll keep finding them. See limitations and you'll keep crashing into them. But train your mind to see opportunities, open doors, and a greater version of yourself, and everything you need to bring that vision to life will begin to manifest. Mental magnetism is real. Your mind is an energy field, constantly emitting a vibration that attracts experiences at the same frequency. It's not luck or blind effort, it's alignment. Prosperity, health, and love don't arrive by accident. They come when you become a magnet for them. For years, I believed life was unpredictable, that good or bad things simply happened. I fought, struggled, and tried to control everything, yet remained trapped in the same cycles. Meanwhile, others seemed to have it all effortlessly. What was the difference? Why do some people flow while others stagnate? The answer wasn't in effort, but in vibration. I was sending signals of struggle, scarcity, and lack, and life responded with more of the same. The universe doesn't give you what you say you want. It gives you what your mind and energy can sustain. If you want prosperity but focus on lack, you vibrate in scarcity. If you desire love but fear abandonment, you vibrate in emotional emptiness. If you seek health but constantly expect pain, you vibrate in illness. The law of magnetism is infallible. You attract what you hold inside, not what you superficially wish for. But here's the key. Your mind isn't just a receiver of reality, it's a transmitter. Like an antenna, it constantly projects signals that shape what returns to you. Most people send mixed signals. They want wealth but complain about money, seek love but doubt they are worth it, and long for health but fear getting sick. Mental magnetism isn't luck. It's a precise science. When you master it, effort becomes secondary. You stop chasing what you want and start attracting it. Think about the difference between someone who is financially abundant and someone who constantly struggles. It's not just their bank balance, it's their mindset. One acts from confidence, knowing abundance flows. The other operates from fear, urgency, and need, and the universe mirrors those beliefs back to them. The same applies to love. Some people radiate an energy that naturally attracts deep, meaningful connections, while others, no matter how hard they try, repeat patterns of abandonment and rejection. The difference? Mental magnetism. The beliefs they hold about themselves, relationships, and what they unconsciously project. The good news is that mental magnetism can be reprogrammed. No matter how long you've lived in a frequency of lack, you can shift it. But it requires intention, observing your thoughts, emotions, and internal dialogue. Every word you speak, every image you hold, every feeling you reinforce is sending a command to the universe. If you want to attract something new, you must become someone who can receive it. You can't expect prosperity while acting from a mindset of scarcity. You can't attract love while vibrating in insecurity. You can't manifest health if your mind constantly expects illness. Life responds to what you hold most intensely, not to weak desires. Your subconscious is always listening. Every thought, every mental image, every emotion. It accepts them all without question. It doesn't reason or filter, it simply executes. It's a loyal servant but a ruthless master if you don't learn to communicate with it. And most people speak to their subconscious in the language of fear, doubt, and limitation without realizing it. I discovered this the day I paid attention to my real thoughts, not what I said aloud, but what played in my mind when no one was looking. I claimed to want success, yet a voice inside whispered, "It's not that easy." I wished for abundance, yet my inner dialogue echoed, "Money never lasts." I longed for love, yet my mind projected fear of betrayal. The problem wasn't what I desired, it was what my subconscious had accepted as truth. The subconscious doesn't work with logic. It operates with symbols, emotions, repetition, and visualization. Repeat something enough, and it becomes a command, regardless of whether it helps or destroys you. And here's the most dangerous part. Most of the beliefs ruling your life weren't chosen by you. They were installed when you were a child, absorbed by parents, teachers, society, and experiences you didn't filter. And now, years later, you're still acting according to those beliefs without questioning whether they serve you. Your subconscious doesn't understand logic. It understands emotion. Saying, "I am successful," isn't enough if you feel otherwise. Empty affirmations don't work. You must speak to your subconscious in its language. Vivid images, strong emotions, and repeated experiences until they become a new reality. If you want prosperity, visualize it so intensely that it feels real. If you desire love, feel it in your body before it arrives. If you seek success, embody it now, not as someone waiting, but as someone who already has it. I tested this in my own life. Every time fear arose, I replaced it with an image of confidence. Every time my mind projected negativity, I substituted it with a positive vision. Every time a limiting belief appeared, I challenged it with an affirmation of power, not as an empty mantra, but with the conviction of someone rewriting their destiny. Over time, my subconscious accepted the new story, and when it did, my life transformed with it. Your body listens to your mind. Every thought sends a message. Every emotion issues a command. Every belief becomes an instruction that your cells obey without question. This isn't theory. It's a reality we've forgotten. The mind-body connection isn't symbolic. It's absolute. Science has proven it repeatedly, but the truth has always been there, waiting for us to remember. What you think, feel, and believe shapes your physical state. I realized this when my own body started speaking, not in words but in symptoms, unexplained pain, fatigue, and mysterious ailments that had no clear cause. I searched for answers in diagnoses, temporary fixes, and convenient excuses, but nothing changed, until I asked myself a crucial question: what am I telling my body every day? The answer was harsh. My mind was full of stress, worry, and fear disguised as logic. My internal dialogue was tense, anxious, and doubtful. And my body, always loyal, was merely reflecting what my mind had been commanding for years. Because that's how illness often begins. Not in the body, but in the mind. Constant stress turns into exhaustion. Repressed sadness manifests as chronic pain. Unresolved anger lodges itself in the muscles. Fear weakens the immune system. Every thought has an impact. Every emotion leaves a trace. Every belief shapes the body's ability to heal or suffer. If you want to change your reality, change the way you communicate with your subconscious. Stop feeding it images of struggle, fear, and limitation. Speak to it in the language of certainty, possibility, and abundance. Your mind is not just observing reality, it's creating it. Learn to direct it, and life will follow. Here's a truth few understand. If thoughts can make us sick, they can also heal us. If the mind has the power to destroy, it also has the power to restore. This isn't magic, it's biology. Science has proven it with the placebo effect, studies on emotional resilience, and cases of unexplained remissions that medicine can't comprehend but the mind can. When you believe you can heal, your body responds. When you release fear, your cells reconfigure. When you choose gratitude over stress, the chemicals in your brain shift, inflammation decreases, and your immune system strengthens. The question is, what kind of thoughts are you feeding your body every day? Are they thoughts of healing or illness, hope or despair? Because your body doesn't distinguish between reality and imagination. It simply follows the orders your mind gives it. I began experimenting with this in my own life. Whenever pain arose, instead of resisting it, I spoke to it. I told my body I trusted it to heal, that I was safe, and that everything was okay. When fear tried to convince me something was wrong, I challenged it with certainty. It wasn't immediate, but over time my body began to respond in alignment with my mind. This doesn't mean ignoring medicine or rejecting external help. It means remembering that the first medicine has always been within us. Thought isn't just a mental process, it's an act of creation. The way you speak to yourself becomes the chemistry of your body. If you truly want to heal, the first step isn't searching for a cure outside. It's changing the message you're sending to every cell in your being. We live in a world of noise, not just the external noise of streets, notifications, and empty conversations, but the internal noise that never stops. Thoughts collide, worries disguise themselves as logic, and doubts echo endlessly. The modern mind is a whirlwind that never rests, a machine producing thoughts without pause, a radio tuned to the frequency of anxiety. But here's the truth few grasp. Success doesn't come from thinking more. It comes from thinking better. It doesn't come from filling your mind with information, but from learning to empty it. Because in mental silence, something happens that noise can never provide: clarity. I discovered this when the noise in my head became unbearable. I was trying to solve problems, find answers, plan the future, and control every detail of my life with relentless thoughts. But the more I thought, the more I blocked myself. The more I analyzed, the more doubts appeared. The mental effort drained me, and instead of solutions, I found only confusion. Then, one day, I did something different. I stopped thinking, not because it was easy, but because I had no other choice. I sat in silence and observed my mind without intervening, without fighting, without seeking answers. And in that stillness, I understood something. Mental noise isn't a sign of intelligence, it's a sign of disorder. The mind is like a lake. When it's agitated, the water is murky, the reflection distorted, and vision is impossible. But when it calms, everything becomes clear. The surface reflects accurately, the depths become visible, and truth reveals itself effortlessly. Mental silence isn't emptiness, it's space. It's the ground where the best ideas are born, where intuition speaks, and where answers appear without being sought. It's the state in which the world's most successful people operate, often without anyone noticing. True success doesn't come from doing more, it comes from doing what's right, and you can only know what's right when your mind is calm. The problem is most people live in constant noise. They can't bear silence, not even for a minute. They need distractions, stimuli, and movement. They believe success comes from relentless action when, in reality, it comes from the balance between doing and not doing. If you truly want to transform your life, you need to train your mind for silence. It's not about sitting idle, but about directing your energy with intention. It's about filtering out unnecessary noise, eliminating thoughts that don't serve you, and making space for clarity to enter. When I first practiced this, I noticed something incredible. Decisions that once seemed difficult became obvious. Ideas that wouldn't come flowed effortlessly. And problems that felt insurmountable shrank to nothing. Not because the world changed, but because my perception of it had transformed. Success isn't for those who think more. It's for those who think better. It's for those who know when to act and when to wait, who've learned that power lies not in mental overload, but in mastering internal silence. Try it. Don't obsess over solving everything. Instead, learn to quiet the noise. Find a moment in your day where your mind settles, where chaos dissolves, and where life can speak to you without interference. The power you seek isn't out there. It's within you. It's not in the opportunities that haven't arrived, the people you're waiting to believe in you, or the circumstances you need to change. It's in your mind, the most powerful tool you have. But the question is, are you using it for or against yourself? Most people are trapped in a mental war they don't even realize they're fighting. They say they want success, but their minds are programmed for mediocrity. They say they desire abundance, but their thoughts are filled with lack. They say they seek love, but deep down they still believe they don't deserve it, and then they wonder why their lives don't change. I understood this when I saw my own reflection in the mirror of life. I worked hard and did what I was supposed to do, but the results were always the same. Something invisible was blocking me, something I couldn't see but always felt. Then I realized it was my own mind. No matter how much I did externally, if I internally held onto the same beliefs, fears, and limits, I'd never move forward. The potential isn't awakened by more effort. It's awakened by a new mindset. It's not about working harder, but about thinking differently. The mind is a command system. What you tell it every day becomes the program it runs. If you repeat that life is hard, it will make life hard. If you tell yourself you're not enough, it will find proof to confirm it. If you feed it doubt, insecurity, and fear, it will turn those emotions into your reality. But if you learn to direct it, if you give it new instructions, if you train it to focus on what you want instead of what you fear, your potential activates in ways you never thought possible. How do you change a mindset programmed over the years? First, take responsibility for your thoughts. You can't keep believing life is a series of coincidences you have no control over. Every thought you hold is a choice. Every belief is a program you can change. Second, observe your inner dialogue. How do you speak to yourself when you fail? Are your words supportive or critical? If your mind has become your worst enemy, you'll never move forward. You must turn it into your greatest ally, and that starts with changing how you speak to yourself every day. Third, visualize yourself as the person you want to be, not after everything changes, but now. The mind doesn't work with vague desires. It works with clear images. If you can see yourself succeeding in such detail that your body feels it as real, you've taken the first step toward making that image your life. This isn't magic. It's reprogramming. It's not luck. It's strategy. The problem is that most people never dare to try. They stay trapped in the cycle of effort without direction, in the routine of limiting thoughts, in the belief that their potential depends on something external. But those who awaken, who decide to take control of their minds, who train their thoughts to work for them instead of against them, they're the ones who transform their lives. Try it. Not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, but now. Observe what you think, listen to how you speak to yourself, visualize what you truly desire, and then commit to a new way of operating in the world. Not from doubt, but from certainty. Not from struggle, but from alignment. Not from weak hope, but from absolute conviction that your mind is the key to everything you've ever wanted.